What's good, everybody? This episode of the podcast is sponsored by DistroKid. They are the go-to for digital music distribution and the easiest way for musicians to get their music onto Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, TikTok, YouTube, and more. They offer unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of their earnings, getting your music onto platforms and into stores 10 to 20 times faster than any other distributor. They help with cover song clearance, automatic splits, and they offer all kinds of tools and templates to help you get the most visibility for your releases. I dig this company and appreciate their business model that offers more features and tools than any other distributor while doing it at the most affordable price for solo artists, bands, DJs, studio artists, and any other creators that are making music or producing music in their home, and they offer label services as well. They've got 3 different tiers that they offer to creators that start as low as $22.99 a year. That's just $1.92 a month. And even their top tier is only $7.50 per month. And the best part about DistroKid sponsoring the podcast is they are offering Dan Cable Presents listeners 30% off their first year of service with DistroKid, making their affordable prices even cheaper for you. I will put that discount link in the episode notes. It will also be in my Instagram bio. Big shout out to DistroKid for sponsoring this podcast for more than 3 years now. Much appreciated. Now let's get into the episode.
Looking down at the corner of the
What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dan Cable Presents podcast. Thank you for tuning into the program once again. If this is your first time listening, thanks for checking out the show. You can find fresh episodes coming at you on Tuesdays. And if you want to help support this thing in a free way, you can do so by clicking subscribe on iTunes, clicking write a review, giving the podcast 5 stars if you feel like it is deserving of so. And that will help propel this thing into the tops of those iTunes charts, giving it more visibility on the national and international levels, helping strangers find the podcast. Just a great way to contribute to the growth and sustainability of this thing. Appreciate the hell out of all the folks that have already taken the time to do so. If you're not listening on Apple, just hit like, follow, subscribe wherever you are listening from. If you're watching on YouTube, you can hit subscribe there, and check out some previous episodes if you're new to this thing and you enjoy this chat. This week on the podcast, we've got Portland singer-songwriter Amos Heart, aka Avery Haines. You might know him from his solo project or his other band, Jonny's Day Out. Just a crazy good songwriter this dude is, and just an incredible stage presence that just pulls you in and pulls at your heartstrings. And Avery and I have ran into each other a few times over this past year, and I've just really enjoyed my interactions with him. So I was really stoked that we had the opportunity to sit down and jump on the mics and get a hang in and get to know each other and talk about his brand new record that comes out on January 24th. It is called From the Perspective of a Loved One. I've been geeking out on this thing for the last couple weeks or so, and just going pretty hard on it, and just a killer collection of tunes. And like I said, just a great songwriter this dude is, and just cool to dive into his mind a little bit. If you're listening to this around release time, you can catch Amos Heart at the Portland Folk Festival, which is going on January 17th and 18th at the Crystal Ballroom. And he is playing on January 18th, and Avery's album release show for this new Amos Heart record, January 30th at the Showdown here in Portland, Oregon, with my friend Isabeau is opening that show. She was on the cast not too long ago. It's going to be a really great one. So if you're in town, highly recommend swinging through that one. And also the last episode of the podcast to come out before this one was with Annie, aka Eli Goldberg, who is one of Avery's close friends and collaborators in Jonny's Day Out. So go back and listen to that one too if you dig this chat. Happy New Year 2025. We have arrived. I'm turning 40 this summer, which kind of feels wild. So I'm feeling a little bit of pressure in a good way. I'm feeling a little bit of pressure to just to go do a bunch of stuff and try to not overthink every single decision in my life, but also somehow maintain doing those things with care and intention when necessary still. So here is to that. And I'm trying to hit a couple, at least 2 countries this year is my goal for some travel plans. Just feeling like the time is now. So I booked a spontaneous trip to go to Mexico next week. So I'm going to go hang out there and see Mexico for the first time. Hope everyone is hanging tough out there, and I hope you enjoy episode 436 of the podcast with Amos Heart. All the links will be in the episode notes, and we're going to kick this episode off with a sneak peek of a track from that brand new Amos Heart record, which comes out January 24th. This particular track is called Dead Air, and it comes out on January 10th. Now let's do the damn thing.
Creeping on my lips, words about an idea. I forget how to speak for a moment. Maybe an hour, you're talking sour to me, and my mouth puckers up. Straight jacket, it holds back my tongue. We fall together in silence, deep in that quiet. I beg you, grab a ladder and hook yourself. I fall asleep to NBA podcasts every night.
Yeah?
So
which one?
I
Or is there like
thinking basketball was like my number one podcast of the year.
who's like hosting that?
God, what's the name of the guy? He's such a dork, and it's amazing. Like they dive. It's like all analytical, super nerdy, like NBA stuff, which is such a strange character trait of mine for some reason. Like I never played sports really, or my parents were like almost anti sports. Yeah. But then I just fell in love with the drama, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I am often falling asleep or waking up to hockey podcasts. So like,
Really?
I heavily relate to this.
You're not
trait.
Are you Canadian?
No, I'm not. You are, right?
I'm fucking
You're a
Canadian.
Canadian.
Man. Yeah. Oh, fucking A, man.
No, I grew up playing ice hockey in Southern California. I'm like the Southern California kid who grew up playing ice hockey.
What's that scene like?
That scene is like, I mean, now it is much more evolved, and it's like such a heavy thing because there's,
for sure,
you know, a lot of California NHL teams. But
where's the fucking ice there?
they would just be in like random
indoor
places.
Yeah,
just indoor places, but pretty spread out. Like, you know, it wasn't like there was ice rinks everywhere. So like playing like travel hockey, you definitely like we're driving a couple hours sometimes to go to these games. And but
so you're kind of a tough cookie then too.
I don't know if I don't think I'm a tough cookie. I'm not sure anybody would describe me as a tough cookie.
I'll describe you as a tough cookie.
That's very sweet.
Are any of those teeth replacements from your hockey days?
No, I grew up playing a lot of goalie.
Okay.
So like your teeth are very protected.
Super safe.
As the goalie. And also like until you break the 18 age marker, you have to wear either a full shield or a full cage.
Right.
So it's not like your mouth is like
that's a funny
really
thing
exposed.
That after you're 18, they're like, fuck it. Like, yeah, just reveal your teeth to the puck now.
Dude, I'm still playing
teeth.
like adult beer league, and there's a lot of people out there that choose to go with like the half shield or something.
It's epic.
It's crazy. Or just like no shield, and it's like you're gonna potentially go home with like a missing tooth. Like I've seen it happen.
I mean, I feel like you're like tapping into some sort of like deeply rooted like gladiator mode or something when you do that, when you just like, no, I'm going half shield, no shield.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know, there's no choice now. It's battle.
Yeah.
We should
Absolutely.
do that. We should do that more, you know? We should tap into our gladiator selves. You know? We should make like I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Are you watching a lot of basketball too, or are you more interested just in the podcast, like the analysis of what's happening in the league and stuff?
Honestly, I watch some basketball, but it's more about the sitcom, the like drama of all of these fucking celebrities just being incredibly dramatic over every little thing. It's like endless. It's endless. It really is like the Kardashians or something, where it's just like, I don't know, these grown men, well, some of them are 18 years old getting the spotlight like so heavy at such a young age. So then it's like,
it's so wild.
Give them a microphone in front of millions of people. Like, what do they say? They're probably going to talk some shit, and it's amazing. It's fun.
So definitely just paying attention to the drama of the league opposed to like actually watching.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, it's a silly thing I've fallen in love with that just kind of has nothing to do with what I actually love. So it just like calms my brain. Yeah. I don't have to think about it too much at all.
But you like know about like what's happening in the NBA.
I know what's happening.
Like, like if you tuned into a game, you would just be like, oh, this team is like 3 in the league, and like they have this player, and this dude drains a lot of threes. And
it's endless, man.
Yeah.
It's endless.
Yeah. It's kind of fun though.
Yeah. It's really fun
to just like get that wrapped up in a game in some way. Like
it's silly, and it's like, it's pointless to me, but it's also like whatever. We all have to have our little distractions in life to, you know, make it less serious.
It's your soap operas.
It's my soap opera, man. Yeah. You know, we all got our soap operas.
I hear you. I mean, like I said, I'm very much in line with that, with the hockey, and like I definitely like watch a decent amount too, and I've like always been, you know, playing and watching like pro hockey and pro sports in general, but I for some reason just like love listening to them like talking about what's happening in the league, and like some of like listening to the interviews with the players and, and things like that, you know. I'm like almost more addicted to that, to the listening of my 2 or 3 hockey podcasts each week.
Man. It's the best, man. It's brain numbing in the best way. I kind of love like just I don't like really feel like the most masculine dude in the world also, like, you know, I kind of tap into various sides of myself, you know, when I want to. And so to like be like, I don't know, kind of mildly obsessed with this like very masculine thing is like so funny to me. And it's, I don't know. I love it.
Yeah. Have you always been a pretty creative person, like even as a kid?
Yeah, I think so. Like, yeah, I think it's been probably the largest like constant in my life, is just like always encouragement to just put things on paper and like, I don't know. My parents have always been like very encouraging of that. My dad was like a political cartoonist in high school, and So he's an incredibly talented visual artist, and I think, like, you know, he kind of got swept up into the corporate world for a bit there and kind of stopped drawing. But every year for Christmas, I get him like pens and paper, and I'm just like, yeah, draw some fucking weird guys again, man. Like, you know, he's an incredible artist, man. But so visual art, I definitely, like, my brother and I got from him. I love drawing a lot. That's another thing that kind of like is my piece outside of music and serving pasta and all of that.
You're like the kid in class that was just like constantly drawing.
Oh man!
While you were supposed to be paying attention to other things.
Dude, the amount of time I spent after class with an eraser on the desk.
He's just drawing on the desk.
Fucking crazy, man. I had a Spanish teacher who, like, I was terrible at school in that format. Like, I made it. I did it. I graduated high school, but, like, barely, because my head was down, like, majority of the time. Or my head was, like, completely in the clouds, like, you know, doing something else, which is, I think, I've come to learn after, like, very structured schooling is, after that part of your life is done, it's like, that's a skill that is, I love that I have now. But it's just not, I don't know, it's not something that's encouraged for the first parts of your life, because you're in this, like, get to school, you do your thing, you gotta look up, pay attention, do what they tell, you know, like, there's no time for clouds. And then you become an adult, and it's like, you know, maybe I would make more money if I wasn't so fucking spacey and dreamy and shit, but I view it as a strength of mine, you know.
Yeah, man, I don't think it's worth the trade-off to not have the dreamy, you know, lost in the clouds.
Other people can make money, man. I don't care too much about that stuff, man. It's overrated. I got everything I need for now, but yeah, I don't know. It's a strange thing. I definitely, I feel like I'm gonna, like, if I ever had kids too, I'd definitely raise them with a similar thing of just, like, let your mind wander and, like, put it all on paper. Fucking dream away, man, you know?
Yeah. Is it, I don't know, I would imagine growing up drawing or writing music, you have kind of like this wide span of things to, like, reflect back onto. You just, like, going through old stuff and finding the drawings that you did as a kid. And you know.
Music at this point is, like, such a amazing, like, I don't know, like, flip book of my life too, like, 'cause my friends and I started when we were so young, like, recording albums and stuff, so we have, like, full records that, like, I'll fully stand behind the stuff we made when we were, like, 15 and stuff. Like, it's kind of awesome. It's some of my favorite stuff I've done to this day, and it's like we have that for the rest of our lives. And it's like it's so special, and yeah, it's rare to have that sort of ability to look back into what you're writing about. Most of the time it's the same shit I'm writing about now. It's like, you know, it's, I don't know, confusion of love and life and all of that, but maybe slightly more simple, but I still write pretty simple too, so
but you feel like you're still tapping into the same things of,
honestly,
like, maybe these, like, interpersonal relationship stuff and
totally
the confusion of life.
Yeah, I think so. The first band I was in, I was writing the music and stuff, and then I joined a band with Eli and my friend Blue and Tristan, and we had a different drummer at the time, and then my friend Akiva joined, but it was called the Castaway Kids. And that was a beautiful time of life. It was 7th grade till around freshman year of high school. And yeah, I don't know. It was like, I think back on those days of playing music as like, anytime I feel like, what the fuck am I doing? I like try to remember that feeling of like, oh, this shit is fucking incredible. Like that feeling when I was like 14 years old. Like, yeah, Blue and I talk about that often, of just like tapping into whatever we had then. That's magic, man.
Yeah. Do you feel like there are ways that you can tap into that feeling, or is it simply just remembering somewhat how that felt and just how exciting and important that was?
I mean, I feel like I have this special ability too, because I'm like so close with the same guys.
That's pretty cool, man. Like I didn't know, like, until I had Eli on a couple weeks ago, you know, him talking about just how you guys had the band in high school
rooted,
and
man.
like junior high. And I also think it's like really cool that you guys kind of grew up in this era where home recording was so like accessible, and like the tools were there to be able to do something like that. Because I don't know, thinking back to high school for me and like maybe our age gap, there wasn't really many people that you knew that could like pull off any sort of home recordings. And the ones that did, it was not very it was pretty rough, you know.
You got a little
like,
4-track.
Yeah, we're just like throwing up this one condenser mic to like record a drum set or something, or like,
man,
I don't know.
Like I feel like at the same time, having everything accessible to you sometimes creatively is like simplifying things down often is like the best way to go, you know?
Yeah.
Like sometimes I almost wish that we just had a 4-track tape recorder and that was our only option. And it's just like, no overthinking it, plug the mic in, and what happens. And like, cause so many of the recordings from before the digital age are just like, on a whim almost, and you feel that more so, you know, less refined, which is there's benefits to both. And I'm trying to like, I feel like the next project I do, I kind of want to break out of the patterns of that the digital age has taught me of perfection and stuff. Like, I don't know, I would love to do more on a whim recordings that have less, you know, rigidness to them. But yeah, I don't know.
Maybe mistakes exist in them.
Totally. I definitely, like, for this last record that I did, I worked with my friend Edwin again, and I'm like constantly encouraging him to like leave clicks in and leave like, you know, mouth noises and shit, you know? It's like the nasty stuff that makes it like approachable and beautiful and all of that, you know?
Yeah. You think it just like provides more of that, the human element to it?
For sure. And like brings you into whatever room you're in, and like, yeah, I don't know. There's something, you just can't find, like, no matter how much you try and perfect things, often you're just going further from the source of what it originally was, you know?
Yeah.
Like, voice memos are my favorite recordings in the entire world, I think. My phone is like, I have like thousands of them, and like, I will never be able to record a better version of that song than the first time I sat in front of my phone and was just like, what is this song that's coming out of me right now? I'm like discovering it as I am recording it on my phone. And then I go into this studio setting, which is really fun to dive deep into this, like, this loose idea, but it's impossible. It's impossible to tap into that again.
Yeah.
Or very hard.
Yeah. It's
try our best, but
you know, that beautiful thing of that, the raw idea you know, that initial time that it comes out of you, and you are like struck with the mystery of like, oh, I can't believe this thing is kind of like flowing through me.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's really strange.
Is there a level of frustration for you when you are trying to find that in the studio, and like, have you found ways to tap into it still?
Naturally, I think there's always a struggle, and that's just gonna happen no matter what environment you're in and no matter how comfortable you are, because like you're envisioning something so clearly, hopefully, or maybe it's a loose idea, but you still have this idea in your head, and then it's finding all of the weird ways to make that happen. And sometimes it's not what you originally planned, you know. Sometimes you just have to do a fully live take all the way through, and then you build off of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Voice memos, man. They're amazing. I'm so thankful to have this device on my pocket all the time, you know.
When you're doing these recordings for making an album, or just like recording just a one-off, is it are there days that you feel like you just like don't really have it in you, or can you always flip the switch and figure out how to make it happen?
No, it's incredibly flow state that just happens sometimes, you know, and it's so frustrating when it doesn't happen. And I've like, you know, I feel like a lot of creatives can relate to like just feeling like a fraud, like probably 80% of the time. And then there's that 20% when you step in front of an instrument or something where you're like, okay, like I've been practicing this my whole life, and this is why, for that 10-20% of the time where it actually happens.
Yeah.
You know? But I just wrote a song the other day called Porn Star. I was getting so frustrated at myself and felt like such a fraud, like, cuz I was like, what the fuck? Like I've been practicing this skill for so much of my life of writing music and stuff, and I was like, I can't get anything out that feels real to me. And so then I just started thinking about all these like careers of people that might be feeling the same, and porn star with no libido is the lyric.
That's
and
awesome.
That just came out, and that was one of those 20% moments where I was like, oh, like, okay, I feel dialed in right now, and I'm thinking about the very thing and it felt real, because it was like, yeah, I feel like a fucking fraud, and now I'm writing about that, and that's cool, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes it just happens like that, you know?
Yeah. But is it, like, one of the things that I've been pretty struck with you is, and before I even got to see it live, like I saw a video of a Johnny's Day Out performance before I saw you play solo, or before I got to be in the room for a Johnny's Day Out show, and your stage presence is so good, dude.
Thanks,
like,
brother.
You
Thank
just
you.
seem like you are so lost and like in the performance.
Thanks.
Has that always come pretty naturally to you? Like, has it always like felt really good? I don't know. It just feels like very transformative.
Thanks, man. I definitely enjoy that part of this stuff that we're doing. Like, I feel like I took guitar lessons like when I was like 6 years old, and I hated it. It was like structured and weird and stiff and stuff. And then I started School of Rock when I was like 11 or something.
Okay.
And I stepped on stage, and like, as corny as it is, I was like, fuck yeah, man. This shit rocks. This shit fucking rocks.
Just
man.
felt good.
It felt great, and I was like a psycho little kid. I had, for some reason, I had a lot of anxieties and fears and stuff, but like that was just never one of them. And like, it's incredibly comfortable and incredibly freeing to be on stage for me. I love it. And translating these sounds into your body too is such a incredibly freeing thing. Like, I don't know. Not to say that this stage, it's nerve-wracking always. It always is. Like, I feel nervous every time before getting on stage, and I've had like full panic attacks before while on stage, and that's been like scary, honestly. But most of the time, like, once you just step past that moment of overthinking and stuff, then for me it's just completely freeing, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, dude, you can 100% like feel it. I think
I'm glad. Like, I'm very glad.
Yeah, I think that it's a very undeniable thing. Like, that's watching sweet, you.
That's sweet.
Perform
sweet.
And like, yeah, it's been cool to, you know, kind of get to see the different forms of it, like with the Johnny's Day Out stuff, and then seeing your solo set the other night at Mississippi.
Thanks for coming, by the way, man.
Yeah, for sure. It's just it's cool to see it exist in like both of those things, but maybe a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But to still be able to like recognize and witness that like you're like very far in it, like just like, I don't know, watching you hit yourself in the chest and shit. It's just like,
thanks, man. Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's feeling it.
It's really fun to lose yourself on stage, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, some of my favorite performers and musicians are like extremely understated on stage, and sometimes I wish that that's how I was comfortable, or that, like, I don't know, like, I think being over the top can sometimes be like, can take away from the music if you're performing like a madman or something. But I like, my body really just like needs to move sometimes, and like I think that like the few times where I have like had really bad experiences on stage and had to like leave and whatever, were when I was like trying to hold my body back and perform in a certain way and all of that. And I think like I've just found that's the easiest way for me to get the wiggles out, you know?
Yeah.
Just move your body and lean into however the sounds make you wiggle, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not resisting or pushing back against that, and just like allowing yourself to be free in that way.
Totally. Yeah. One of like thinking on one of the times when I had like the biggest struggle on stage was I did my junior year of high school. I was in Chicago the musical.
Okay.
Which is where the name Amos Heart comes from, actually. I played a character called Amos Heart, which is Roxy Hart's dipshit husband.
Is that Richard Gere in the movie?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really that's something
Mr.
I've only
Cellophane.
Seen like bits and pieces of.
Yeah. I was never like a big musical guy. Like, my parents they're awesome fucking opinionated individuals that, you know, I don't know, I grew up with this sort of like, maybe they're too cool for it or something like that, but which is so stupid, because I think all forms of art have their place, and musical theater is like has such an incredible history and stuff. So I found my love for it, but it's not necessarily something that I always knew that I would like. I don't listen to musicals and stuff on my free time necessarily, but
you're not like seeking out a bunch of musicals.
Yeah, no, but I think it's a cool form of art and telling a story and all of that. But I was playing Amos Heart and it's theater, so it's rigid, and you have lines you have to say at a certain time, and your body language is all mapped out, and you know, you have to react to the line said before you with your hands in the air, whatever. Everything is, you have to hit the spots.
Yeah.
And on opening night, I stepped out there, and it's a big auditorium, you know, and I saw the lights, and I started saying my first line, and I felt this rigidness in my body, and then the lights just like fully took over my whole sphere of living, and I just like couldn't feel my body at all. I fell to the ground, and I had one of those boy band mics on, touched my face, and I just start going fuck in front of fucking like whatever 1,200 people or some shit like that. It was, I ended up like falling into this panic state until I like went to the fucking hospital after that, and like it was so fucked up, man. Like they had to like put me to sleep because my brain couldn't snap out of whatever anxiety I had like fallen into because of that. And yeah, that was a strange moment where like the stage and performing like isn't always as comfortable as I, you know, make it out to be sometimes or whatever. Like it can be incredibly nerve-wracking. And yeah, I don't know, that was just one of those situations, man, where it's you learn a lot about yourself when you freak out in front of a bunch of people. It's not fun, but I also, to some extent, I'm still like this psycho kid that didn't really care at all. Like, even though I fell down in front of a bunch of people and swore into the microphone and was flipping shit, like only like a sliver of myself was embarrassed about that, which maybe I should care a little more, but I don't give a fuck, really. I don't know.
Did you get to, was that the only night that performance happened?
There was 3 nights.
Did you, was that the first night?
That was the first night.
Did you get to do the second and third?
I did the second and third, and I did it. I did it. I did not fall down and swear into the microphone and get taken to the fucking hospital for goddamn musical theater.
Yeah.
But
it's not often that happens to you when you're you know, flailing up there and swearing into
I think
the
it just has to do with the rigidness of that, and then why I think that my stage presence is the way that it is because I think I'll genuinely freak out if I don't emote myself, I guess, you know?
Well, it's cool because I don't know, you mentioned that maybe being over the top can take away from the music or something, but it doesn't feel like you're being over the top, you know?
That's
or
good,
it doesn't feel like you're doing it performatively. It just feels
that's
like
good. I'm really glad.
Very authentic and like what
thanks, Dan,
is compelling about your live performance. I mean, I'm sure I could like, I've never seen you just sit and play songs on the guitar by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that I would walk away from that with the same experience, even if you weren't so like emotive physically, just because I think your songs are so good. And
thanks, man.
Just like really appreciate the way that you deliver lyrics and like what's coming out. But yeah, there's been something about those live performances that I think it makes it almost easier for me to fall into it because I know how deep you are into it, and it like, I'm assuming it helps your bandmates in some way, like really slip into the performance as well when they see what is happening with you. And
yeah, I think we all do that for each other too, you know. It's like I feel like my comfortability on stage has just as much to do with these friends that I've grown up with, like learning how to do that, as it has to do with being a psycho kid that doesn't care too much. You know, like I owe so much to those friends that I had that learning curve with, you know.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I'm so thankful to have met the people, the collection of creatives that I've met, you know.
Yeah.
For that reason, you know. We all, like, I look to my right and then I feel like flailing my body around even more because, you know, the guy to my right is smiling the biggest smile I've ever seen, or whatever else, you know.
Yeah, I also love these moments where you'll just get real close to whoever's next to you on stage, you know, and just like
you gotta put your forehead into their shoulder sometimes, or something.
Is that something where you just like to, I don't know, feel the energy, like the physical space in some way of the person next to you, or like, I'm assuming obviously it's like not really that thought out when it's happening for you, but like,
yeah,
like, do you know what kind of, you know, draws you in that close to somebody else on stage?
I don't think about it, honestly, man. Like, yeah, I think it's just like joy, honestly, in like the purest form of just like following that feeling of like just being free on stage in front of people, and, you know, having love for the people next to you. And also, like, I think you kind of have a responsibility as a front man in whatever you're doing to, like, make as much space for these incredible creatives beside you too. And sometimes that means digging your head into them and being like, this motherfucker is playing bass right now. Like, check out this guy.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, I don't know. It's, yeah, it's a cool thing, sharing the stage with important people.
Is there any barrier for you when you are recording to tap into that energy? When there's not, like, when you're not playing for a crowd or an audience, like, do you find any difficulty when you're making the record? Because I think, like, when I'm listening to whether it's like a Jonny's Day or like this new record of yours, like, I feel like there isn't that barrier, you know. Like, I feel like the energy is captured for sure, and like it's cool to be able to like still feel that in the recordings.
That's fucking awesome. I love that. That's the hope and the goal for sure. I think it's a whole different side of my brain that I've had to learn in the studio space that I love, like, almost equally. It's so fucking fun to be in a space for days on end. I really like booking a whole block of time so that you have that escape for that time, you know, creating that thing in the studio, just so that you can like lose yourself in that a little bit and fully be in that world. But I'm glad that energy translates. I think sometimes I listen to recordings and I wish it translated more for me, but that's also just being critical, and that's fucking natural, man. I don't know.
Too close to the thing.
Yeah, I'm sure. do you listen back through every podcast you've ever recorded?
I mean, I kind of have to because I'm doing the editing.
You gotta edit,
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's it's like, I mean, it's deeply frustrating sometimes to sometimes know what you want to say, but you don't say it.
Words are hard, man.
You know,
words are hard.
And also, yeah, I'm just gonna be like overly critical or more critical than others probably, and also just kind of, there's always maybe those moments sometimes where you wish you would have asked a different question, or maybe like something comes up in the conversation that you wish you would have referred back to, or like, oh, why didn't you follow up with this at that point? And I don't know, I've gotten like out of the habit. I wish that even right now, I wish I had a notepad to like just jot something down every once in a while to be like, oh, like we definitely should go back here. Like I have my notes, you know, here just in case, and I can unlock this phone, and if I need something to guide us along to put us on track somewhere.
Yeah.
And I have that, but you know, it's hard to remember to bounce back to everything.
Well, I will tell you the natural conversations that happen in this room, everything I've heard, man, like you got some skills. It's incredibly hard what you do. It's incredibly hard to guide a conversation with so many different kinds of people, and you don't know what's gonna happen, and it's fucking amazing. This shit that you're putting together. You're like, I was thinking about it, and when I was talking to my grandma this morning, and I was like, I was trying to make her laugh or something. I was like, he's kind of like the Jimmy Kimmel of Portland. Like I'm going on Jimmy Kimmel of Portland. Is that offensive to you though?
No, I mean, not at all. Jimmy Kimmel's like a very.
Are you more of a Fallon guy? I don't think you're Fallon.
No, I'm more of like I would say like if we're talking like late night hosts, I'll take the Jimmy Kimmel.
You're not like, Conan.
I'm not Conan. Definitely not like the old Conan. That show was just like so off the rails at times, and I love that shit. I would like watch that almost every night.
Yeah.
To watch Andy Richter and him drive the desk sometimes, and no, I
we could get off the rails, man. We could.
I appreciate the kind words. It's
you're awesome.
It is. I don't know. I guess it's my form of getting to play jazz. You know, where it's like you just never know where the conversation is going to go, and like you have these guidelines for it if necessary. But I also love when there's no like said go moment of just like let's just see, you know, we were talking about
NBA to start it off.
Your NBA podcast that you're falling asleep to, and like if we can seamlessly like find our way into something, I think that's always like the best way, but it doesn't always happen that way, and sometimes it does have to be like, all right, let's like get this thing rolling. But it's also an interesting thing when it's people that are, you know, strangers that you don't really like understand the way that they pace themselves in a conversation, or like,
for sure,
you know, I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle with you, where I've gotten to have like a couple interactions with you prior to you coming into this room, but this is the first time that we've been in such a, you know, a quiet environment where it's just you and I, and just like,
it's fucking awesome.
It's a cool opportunity to get to, you know, to know somebody too.
For sure.
And it's like hopefully like increased my social skills in some way of like having to get in the room with a stranger and jump on the mics with them and try to like create this conversation that's compelling to listen to. But like, I'm also like have a tremendous amount of anxiety in certain situations and feel very awkward in social environments at times.
It's hard to imagine,
for
man,
as outgoing as I present at like most of the time, but like I have like plenty of moments where I'm like in the music venue and feel very like just an awkward little boy, and I'm just gonna like slide out the door without saying bye or some shit.
Sure,
you know?
man. Yeah. Well, it doesn't come across, dude. You're incredibly kind and sweet and lovable. I already know it, man.
I appreciate it. I feel the same about you, and just like our limited interactions prior to you coming by today, and but yeah, just love the music you're making, and just very taken by it, and especially getting to see the solo set the other night. I think like the world feels like a heavy place like pretty often, you know, for as much like joy and laughter as I get, and
that's for sure.
I think that there's a heaviness that I think that I've felt since I was a little kid often.
Yeah.
And I've.
Is it like existential heaviness, or is it like immediate heaviness, or?
Yeah, I think it's maybe like a little bit of both. And
Yeah.
I think from a young age, like I just remember sitting in my room like alone as a kid, as like an 8-year-old kid listening to music and feeling very struck by people that have, you know, especially folks like yourself that are talking about, you know, relationships and life and love, maybe in that way of expressing it through music that I've always been pretty struck by, even as like a kid that didn't really understand the complications of relationships, and especially like romantic ones, where I find a lot of relief in like in I guess you know, healing in some way, where like I walk into a room and someone like you is on stage playing music and I'm just like,
dude,
like
same.
this is what I came for, is
Same,
like
man.
I came to watch somebody kind of bare their heart on stage, and I think that has always made me feel less alone in the things that feel really heavy. And like I definitely like got a different look at that, I guess, when I saw you play your solo music the other night, man. You know, like that is definitely, it hits, dude. Like
I'm
heavy.
glad, man. I feel like oftentimes like seeing music live, when it's something that speaks to you, it just like it can sometimes simplify those heavy ideas down to this art form. And even if it's some sort of complex metaphor in the writing or something, like seeing live music translate something that feels so heavy or feels untouchable or feels like out of reach or too complex to like deal with in your own life. Like sometimes just seeing someone fucking put whatever feeling it is out there in whatever form they're making it just makes it feel simple and easier to digest, you know? Like, yeah, I don't know. Whatever it is, I feel like musicians and artists in general are just translators for the things that we can't process on our own all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
It's such a vulnerable thing too, to like to witness. Does it always feel that way to you? Like, have you always recognized it as this vulnerable thing that you're doing when you're performing?
I think
live?
I try to tap into that just because it's like, well, I don't know. The Johnny's Day Out stuff is a whole different side of me that doesn't feel as vulnerable. Like there's moments of vulnerability in the writing and performance and stuff, but that's like sort of more of a chaotic side of my brain and writing and stuff. And then the solo project has kind of it's kind of been an intentional look into the psyche and stuff for as long as I've had that name and wrote music for that project. It's like trying to be vulnerable with myself and then whoever's in the room with me at that time, because I feel like you can like pretend up there and try to, you know, block those moments of vulnerability, I guess, but then it just doesn't translate to whoever's watching or listening or whatever. And I feel like I don't know, those are all my favorite writers, really, are just very vulnerable and real and all of that, you know.
Does having the moniker help you tap further into that?
I think so. I mean, I'm not writing from anyone else's perspective. Whoa, album title. Holy shit, dude. Mind blown.
Boom. Boom.
Well, sometimes I am writing from other people's perspective, but it's not a made up character. I'm not Andy Schaaf out here, even though I fucking wish I was Andy Schaaf, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, but then we don't get you.
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Sure. But
we already got Andy Schaaf.
Yeah, we got Andy Schaaf, man. Thank God we got Andy Schaaf. Holy shit. But yeah, it's a moniker, but it's like it's Avery.
Yeah.
Speaking really, and yeah. I mean, it might be like a bit more of a sob story, Avery, or like a dramatized version of whoever that is. But yeah, Amos Heart is just, I just liked it better than my name, honestly.
Yeah.
And I've thought about changing my name because I think it, like, I like making vulnerable music, but I don't like being too corny. And I think my music can be, you know, a bit corny, and I love it for that reason. Like, I think that's, I like being corny to some extent, you know, and Amos Heart just feels like that side of me that just like leans into that a little bit and writes about fucking heartbreak and whatever else, you know?
Yeah. But it's always, it's typically you writing from your personal experience and perspective rather than like slipping into a character of sorts.
Yeah, for sure.
While getting to, you know, intertwine other people's stories as well. Like,
exactly.
You know, that tune about your brother, the wandering of Luca Blue.
Yeah,
like,
the whereabouts of Luca Blue, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I appreciate, you know, those types of songs where you're somewhat telling someone else's story, but
he's so mad about that,
moving
man.
that into like a tune, but you're also you know, I mean, I think he loves it to a certain extent, and one day he will love it even more, but for now he's like 21 and just like, you gotta put me on blast like that, man, in front of all these people. And like, I don't know, he's such a sweet motherfucker, my little brother. He's moving to New York tomorrow at 7 a.m. Oh, damn.
Yeah. So I'm going to go have some lunch with him after
into the
this.
big city.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Is it, do you feel like when you are involving other people, like maybe in your storytelling like that you're, that it's somewhat of a fine line, or that you have to like make sure that you're not over telling their story in some way?
Yeah, for sure. But storytelling is such a fun part of it. Like, and similar to how I have records I can look back on from when I was 15 years old, you know, it's like I really love the journal entry sort of side of putting records out, and the fact that one day, like, you know, I'm not going to forget the fact that my brother got lost on a train now, you know, like that could be a passing moment of like, oh yeah, that happened, but now it feels like a solid journal entry that's like real forever, and that's really cool to have, you know. And yeah, I don't know, I think like sometimes it's easier to be critical of people via song. You know, I feel like I've written many songs for family members that I wish I could have that conversation with them and have it be just a conversation, but it's more complex than that. Like,
yeah,
it's, you know, or friends or whatever else. Like, you know, I think writing a song about something that your loved one is going through, even though maybe it's a bit selfish to put it in a public format, sometimes it's easier to process that way, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's so different too, because you're like in a conversation in real time, you don't get to like refine the words that you were saying.
That's one thing,
like
man.
you do in a song, where you get to like really tinker around with the lines and like figure out the perfect way to say these things. Like you don't always get that, like when you're just sitting in a room with somebody face to face.
Totally. I think that's also the reason why I and other songwriters should like, I think like you can kind of get lost in your own world, and writing a song about something that's very personal can sometimes leave other perspectives behind, similar to like, writing a book or directing a movie that, some sort of biopic or a personal story of sorts. Like there's always people that feel like their perspective is like, what the fuck, dude, I was there. That's not what fucking happened, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So I try to check myself too a little bit and be like, okay, what is the point of this? And a lot of it is just personal reflection. It's just for me, which is a sweet outlet to have.
Yeah.
Very sweet. I'm super thankful that I have that outlet of songwriting for that reason. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you gravitate towards that outlet from a pretty young age? I mean,
I think so.
Yeah, you talked about, having the junior high bands and
I think so. It's always been like pretty personal writing, I guess, or like an attempt at that.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's only grown more personal as I've gotten older and stuff, and which is fucking, I think it's sweet. I think it's sweet to put the whatever you're going through on paper.
Yeah.
I'm not the best at journaling too, so like I wish I was. I'll often like get into these patterns where I'm like, I'm gonna do this every day.
Yeah, dude.
2 days go by. It's a classic thing, man. It's a classic thing. I got a gym pass this year. I had to sign up for a whole year.
Yep.
In one go.
They do that to you.
Planet Fitness, $10 a month.
I'm in it, dude. I'm with you.
Whole year. I haven't been in like 4 months, believe it or not. I don't know if you can see these skinny bones, man. I one day when my metabolism catches up with me or something, maybe I'll find a part of myself that wants more structured patterns, but I'm so bad at that shit, man. I am medicated now though, which is sweet. I got diagnosed with ADHD, bada boom. And so I have a little bit of medication which helps me with just like realizing that my shirt is over there right now on the ground. There's a tunnel vision with my life that is like overtaking that. If it's not right in front of me, does not fucking exist in the slightest, man. In the slightest.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah,
it's also very hard for me to be consistent with journaling. I tried to simplify it earlier, or I guess last year now that we're in a new year.
Hey, man.
But it's
Welcome.
just like
2025. We're here.
I'll do such a great job for like 3 days of like trying to do a simple gratitude journal of just like writing down 5 things that I am grateful for, just to like help me out of the
I love that.
the tunnel vision of like all of the heavy things going on. It's
man.
But I'm good for it for 3 days or so, and then it's over. I haven't opened up that gratitude journal in months. It's so hard to like be consistent and disciplined in something like that. But it
really is.
But it's
there's nobody telling you. There's nobody keeping you in check. You know? Unless therapy's great, and that's a form of somebody keeping you in check in some ways, but also there's a side of my brain that even scheduling an appointment it's so hard for me for some reason. That's like I don't know. I think it's funny, the idea of, like, Kendall and I have talked about this, like the idea of someone with ADHD doing all of the things necessary to get medicated it took me like a year and a half of having a form halfway filled out, and then booking an appointment, missing said appointment, booking another appointment. It's 2 months out, and then the time comes and I feel overwhelmed. So then, or whatever. And so it's like, I don't know, being an adult is hard, man. It's not come easy to me, but also I carry myself with hopefully a certain amount of ease throughout. I try to, I think, so, beyond the small annoyances, I think similar to how we started, having a drifting mind isn't hurting me too much,
Yeah. Well, it's also like this, it's the beautiful thing of like finding a creative outlet or whatever sort of outlet is that you just gravitate towards writing songs, right? It's like no one's making you do this daily journal entry.
For
it's
sure.
Like you're just volunteering to step in to that space. Like, can you imagine your life without having this way to process the world?
Man, I have no fucking clue what I would be doing. I have no idea, honestly. It's kind of like a scary or nerve-wracking thought, because I think I would be like slightly directionless, Not that I have much direction now.
Yeah.
I think I'm just like going and going and going, but I don't know. Who knows, man? Maybe I would be working at a bank or something, which would be cool. I love my banker. He's awesome. He seems like he likes numbers and all of that, and that's awesome. But maybe that would be me if I didn't have this outlet,
Or even for the sake of like your mental health, can you like imagine like a world where like you don't have somewhere to like process all of these things?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it would be a different world. I think naturally we find things that work, or sometimes we don't, and then you hit some sort of mini rock bottom or whatever else. Like, I feel like we're always constantly going through these mini rock bottoms, almost, of realizing you have to change something and then figuring out the best route. Yeah. To accomplish whatever makes you a fuller person or whatever the hell, Yeah. I don't know, but I don't know what I would do. Who knows?
What feels different to you about the Johnny's Day stuff versus doing your solo thing? Like, I know you mentioned that maybe the Johnny's Day thing is more chaotic, or you're expressing maybe a more chaotic part of yourself in some ways, but what feels different about those spaces to you?
I think a lot. I think Johnny's Day Out is really like the amalgamation of these friendships I've had for so long coming together and expressing whatever comes out in that room when we're together. And also I love rock music. Like, I love making loud shit that sounds nasty and cool. And also, I think there's some beauty to making some nonsensical shit, some stuff that doesn't have a whole lot of meaning, or it just is energy in a ball translated in music. And I think that's like a side of myself that I love that we have, because it's like, I don't know. You can write personal stuff all day long, but then there's a side of you that just wants to be chaotic and nonsensical, and there's some beauty in that too, of not being so intentional with every word or whatever else. Like, I don't know.
Do you get to like Is there less pressure to say something also? Like, do you feel like you can lean more into the instrumentation and the music breaks?
I think so, for sure. Yeah. I've never been much of a jammer. Like, I think my musical skills have really plateaued from the time I was like 12 years old. Like, I think I just play guitar and I haven't gone back to lessons. Like, I know how to write songs with the skills that I have. I've gotten more comfortable, of course, with just like knowing how to translate ideas and stuff musically, but I don't know how to jam necessarily, you know. So yeah, I don't know, the Johnny's Day Out stuff, although maybe it seems a bit jammy sometimes, most of the time we all write pretty structured together, and even though it is chaos, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's fun to have those two worlds though, and I think it's important for me to have both of those, you know. I want to start a new project too of just writing just pop music too. Like, I've been writing so much stuff that's just mad catchy and like I don't know. I kind of want to do that for a little bit and find another name, and who knows? I don't know what the fuck is going to happen next, but that's where my like writing has been recently, which is really funny. I didn't see that coming, but I keep coming up with these hooks. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, goddamn, like, yeah, I don't know. It's hilarious.
But it doesn't like really feel like it belongs in either of the two things.
Yeah, neither of those two worlds necessarily.
Yeah.
But who knows, man? Who knows what'll happen? But I just keep putting my phone in front of my face and pressing record, and what happens, you know.
What made you feel like this particular collection of tunes for the new record, from the perspective of a loved one, kind of all belong together?
I think like they all relate to one another based around like just this period of my life for sure, and also like kind of, I don't know, I went through like this personally romantic phase of my life, not romantic in a romance sense of a relationship necessarily, but I felt like I don't know, I was feeling very appreciative of all of these connections I'd made in the last few years and all of that, and I feel like this project is kind of like somewhat of a love letter to various parts of that and various people that you know, added to that these last few years, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, I kind of fell into this metaphor that keeps popping up on the record of seasons and clementines and peaches and having people help you through the waves of life, and I kind of used seasons as a way to say that, I guess, and how the hell do we have bright orange clementines in the middle of winter, and that's their season? Like, I feel like having that person in the middle of rainy fucking Portland, like that clementine in the middle of winter, is like so sweet and special.
Yeah.
And it helps you through the gloominess, I guess, you know. And then in the summer you have peaches, and that's sweet and beautiful and fun. But yeah, I don't know, I tried to, I think not every song obviously has to do with that idea, but the record as a whole has that theme to it, and I kind of try to tie that thread throughout. But I also just fell into that, like it wasn't as intentional as maybe it comes out to be in the end or something. Like, it's kind of incredible how I ended up stepping back and being like, oh, these do all make sense together, and there is this like thread throughout. And yeah, I don't know. It's a cool thing just having something fall into your lap even though you made it.
Yeah.
You know, it's you spend so much time creating something and trying to be as intentional as possible, but like it also just fucking happens.
Yeah.
And then you just see it in front of you and you're like, oh, okay. Even though I didn't know what I was doing all of the time, like it makes sense in the end, you know?
It all came together.
It all came together.
The mystery of the thing.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Do you feel like the record you made prior to that informed a lot of the way that you wanted to go about making this one?
Yeah, totally. The House on the Hill, I'll hold near and dear to me forever because it's my first venture into this world of creating stuff on my own. And I mean, I was not on my own in the studio the whole time. I had my friends with me, and that was a incredible thing to have that influence. But it was like the first intentional venture into solo music and this vulnerable music, I guess. And so, yeah, I don't know. I kind of wanted with this new record to expand that sound and have it feel like the same guy talking to you, but just with a bit more thoughtfulness, I guess, and tie through the whole record, and also musically expanding the sound and having it be more thoughtful and complex and interesting. I don't know. I love my first record, but I also can't listen to it at all. It feels like such a young version of myself, you know?
Yeah.
I was like 19, so it feels like a whole different side of myself, and it's hard to listen to, but I also am appreciative of that for that reason, you know?
Yeah.
And the fact that I did it, like I booked the time and I recorded it and I did it and I put it out, and then that led me down this path of just wanting to do this as much as possible after that, you know? Like ever since then, my life has been overtaken by music, which is like, couldn't ask for a better situation to have fallen into, you know?
Yeah. And you have like these records to like document the growth.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
I'm sure is like cool to see.
Yeah.
For yourself.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun to see, man, and it's fun to look back on and yeah, I don't know. I'm ready to make another one already. Like it's a classic thing that you're presenting yourself with these songs as this is me now. But they're always 3 years old. They're always 2-3 years old. They're always like sort of this side of you that you've grown past or processed already, and you've moved on from that said feeling, but then you have to be like, hey everyone, my brand new record with these brand new songs, this is me right now, but it's never you right now, you know? It's always a strange thing, but you got to do it. You got to tell people this is a thing I made, you know?
Is it like frustrating to you at all that it's not always as immediate as like,
yeah,
I've been working on these songs for like 3 years to put together this record or
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of why for whatever project comes next, like leaning into the off the cuffness and maybe just fucking putting it out there almost immediately or something would be really fun for me. Because then it's like, hey, this is me right fucking now.
Yeah.
Right fucking now. Yeah, man. I don't know. I appreciate the whole process, though. Like, I think having that time in between when you write a song and you have to present it to the world, like, even though maybe you do feel like a different person or something by the time that happens, like, you've also had that time to learn who that person was, almost, you know? Who I was 2 years ago. Like, I've sat with these songs for long enough where I feel like I understand myself back then more than I did, and I don't know who the hell I am right now. You know?
Yeah,
and in a couple of years, I'll understand myself now a little better.
And you at least have like the live space to play the new, like maybe a song you wrote yesterday, if you want to.
For sure. And for the record, I you know, as much as the process of having to wait is painful, like I love these songs a lot. You know, I really do, and I'm excited to share them with the world and whoever wants to listen to them and all of that, and then make another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause why not? Keep making, man.
I hope you do.
Yeah.
For sure, dude. I just love the music so much, and specifically this record.
Thanks, man.
Just
thanks.
Feels so good, and there's, like I said, you captured such a cool energy in the studio with these tunes where it doesn't feel like there's much of a barrier between that and what happens in the live show.
That's
and
sweet.
Yeah, your ability for storytelling and just like sharing your perspective through the lyrics is so fucking good, dude.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. It was definitely the most fun I've had in the studio this whole time. Like, we spent so much time. I think it was like nearly 30 days or something as a whole of just like trying to get things right. And like, you know, we cut some songs from the record too. Like I think that happens all the time where you have to shave it down a bit and make it feel like a complete project. And some things, like, even though originally they feel like a part of this baby,
yeah,
you know, that they in the end they don't fit, you know, and you gotta be like, maybe the next time or something.
Yeah, I think that's a level of like growth and maturity too, to like see those things and
sure.
Like, yeah, just having the, like, being able to discern what actually belongs and not just saying, well, we recorded this one too, so it has to find its place, and maybe it finds its place later, or maybe it's just something that gets put out as a single later that doesn't ever end up on a collection of tunes.
Yeah, man, totally. I feel so lucky to have grown up in this city too, that with this music around me, and like so many of my greatest influences are just people that are my age making stuff in Portland. And yeah, I don't know, I was talking to my buddy Harry in the Max yesterday.
Oh, dude, the Max.
Fuck, man.
That was not. I didn't know that you had a personal connection to the Max. That was not that was not forever, something man. I did super intentionally. Other than, like, you know,
they're incredibly kind boys. I appreciate them a lot. But
one of the best live shows in this city.
Yeah,
I think,
speaking
right
of
now,
a ball of energy, man. Like, it's nuts what they can create on stage, man. It's so fucking cool, and they've been doing it forever, man. For so long. For so fucking long. But I was talking to Harry about Portland, and about he was just saying nobody moves here for industry money or for like we were kind of getting into it a little bit. It was a short conversation, but it's like everybody who's creating here is just creating for the sake of creating, and that's really cool. And it makes for some authentic shit, and it makes for some weird stuff too, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I think that's incredibly cool. You know, I mean, I don't know if I see myself here for the rest of my life. I think I should move. I should get uncomfortable. You know, I have my people here, and I love them, and I love being here, and stuff. But I feel like I would regret not putting myself in some uncomfortability before too much responsibility lands on my lap, you know?
I hear you, dude. Like, it was a game changer for me to move here.
Where'd you move from?
Southern California.
Oh, right.
Suburbs of, you know, like 40 miles outside of Los Angeles. And so I understand that, that yearning to like want to try to experience another place. And it was like, yeah, it was such a huge moment of growth, and just like feels like such a different chapter of my life,
For sure.
Moving somewhere. And I feel like I got really lucky, like moving to a city like this one and having all of this accessibility to seeing like a local scene and getting to examine it, for such a long time.
There's
now
some
for
magic
like
here, man.
for like 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And like getting to see the different eras of the music scene, and
Totally.
it's just really incredible. And yeah,
there's a lot of magic, man. It's underrated scene.
agreed.
I will say,
Yeah,
underrated scene. There's so much sounds that come out of here that are fucking awesome, man. Yeah.
and it is different, I feel like, than maybe a place like LA or New York, because we don't have so much industry. Like there's not a bunch of infrastructure like you and Harry were talking about.
Yeah,
it's like
for sure.
people are doing it for the sake of doing it, and I think most people are, even if you are in a city that's more inundated with industry. But it almost like, yeah, it feels more pure, maybe
Totally.
in some way, knowing that there's not going to be a bunch of record execs at
Sure,
every
yeah.
single show that you're playing in town, or
Totally.
yeah.
I kind of feel lucky to have that outlook on making music. Like I've even though it's like pretty much all that I care about and love and do for my, love of living,
Yeah.
like I've never felt the immense pressure of having to do it to make it, to do it to make it, to keep going and doing it and making it for some fucking reason for other people or something like that. Make a little money, that'd be pretty nice, man. I'm not gonna lie, but
Yeah,
I've never,
for sure.
until recently, I've never really I've never put too much weight on that, I think recently I've kind of like been putting a bit more weight on it and being like, how do I make a living doing this?
Yeah, as you should. That's like a natural progression
sure.
of like trying to figure out like how your passion and your finances maybe can align, and
Totally.
how you can like move away from the day gig a little bit more and more each day.
I love serving pasta though, man. I really do.
If you can like find something, there's like a good middle ground there. Where
I don't know if I could ever give up serving at Gino's, man.
Shout out Gino's.
Shout out Gino's.
Not a sponsor of this
Come
episode,
into Grandma,
but
get some Grandma Jeans, Selwood, 13th Avenue. Get some Vongole. Warm your belly.
I love your music, dude.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and reach across this table. Find a way to break the
It's
barriers.
freaking honor, man. It's a freaking honor.
Likewise,
The Jimmy Kimmel of Portland.
We get to sit here on a Sunday, have some coffee together, and
It's great.
get to know each other more.
I'm all
and
cracked out on coffee now. It's great.
Love it.
Yeah, man.
I'll put all the links in the episode notes so people can keep up with you and find your records, and whether it's the solo stuff, the Amos Heart stuff, or the Jonny's Day out stuff, it'll all be there for people to find. And
cheers, brother.
Can't encourage people enough to go see one of your live shows, experience the all the goodness,
the wiggles
of what you do on stage.
Come experience the wiggles.
Experience the wiggles, and you undeniably having to shake those things out of your body.
Sure thing. Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
Truly an honor.
Yeah.
Truly an honor.
So,
Such a sweet space you create here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. And if it's cool with you, I would love to play the episode out with the 2 feet song on
Sure
the record.
thing. Yeah, let's do it.
You remember anything about this one?
This one's
coming
old.
out of you?
This one's old. This one's like probably 4 or 5 years old. And
Okay.
I think it was like my first realization that adulthood's hitting, and like I don't know, sort of moving back from being away and being unclear on like what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the chorus is like, says I still feel 17 because I did at the time, and I still do sometimes now. And yeah, time, it just keeps on moving forward, and there's nothing you can do about it. So walk over to your friend's house and have a hang, because yeah, you know, they'll move away maybe, or you will, or whatever the fuck. Like, hold the people close to you near and dear, because it'll keep on trucking.
Yeah. Is that Kendall singing on this track?
Yeah, she sings on this song too. Yeah.
It's yeah. It's a great duo.
It's
tell you what.
pretty fun, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. Not gonna
lie. What is the official release date of the record?
I've got a single coming out on the 10th.
Okay.
And then the 24th, the record will be out. There's a couple singles. It's very quick. It'll be a week. So the 10th, the 17th, and then the 24th.
The 24th, from the perspective of a loved one.
Yes,
will be
sir.
Available for all to hear, and I'll let people know in the intro too. You got the release show on January 30th at the Showdown.
At the Showdown, man.
It's gonna be a great show.
It'll be a ball.
Great show.
It'll be a ball.
A real ball. All right, Avery. We end every episode of the podcast with the guest saying the tagline for the show, which is "It's a program." It's the one time I'll ask you to look into that camera there, and you can deliver it however you would like to. The Amos Heart. It's a program. It's a program. You nailed it, everybody. That's Amos Heart, and all the links will be in the episode notes. And that's the Jelly Jams, and we will catch you on the flip side, Portland, or wherever you are listening from. Bye.
Toodaloo.
Awesome.
Time is a fleeting, so I'll try to write it down. 'Cause one day I'll be buried in the ground. So I'll use my 2 feet to walk over to your house. Love, my friend, let's figure out. We used to know our way about. Days are running, so I'll put on my new shoes. You set the pace, I'll try to run with you.